Welcome, everyone, to Work Made Human. I am Jill Veglahn, head of people at BAM.
And my name is Ramel Wallace. I'm the senior community manager here at BAM.
Welcome. You're filling in for Nicole.
Yes, I am a new face, so I'm filling in for Nicole. And today we're going to talk about community and we're going to talk about language and how we could use that in the workplace. Jill is part of the people team here. And so, people would say HR back in the day, but I think it's a little bit more in depth. But I know that you had a few questions for me first, and then we'll get into that.
We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but it's no mistake that community is in your job title at BAM. I genuinely believe that when many people think of you, one of the plethora of things that they think of is community, and how you are such an integral part of the communities that you exist in. So I know community is a little bit of a buzzword. I think we can say that. I'm curious what community means to you, and then we can talk a little bit about why you think it is that people are searching for community at work.
That's a great question. And I heard this quote recently, and it said that community is a practice and not a place. And I feel like that's very much how we use the term community at BAM. It's the practice and it's the philosophy and it's the values that we have, whether it's the four agreements, which we would send to the team so that they would know the four agreements. And it's a philosophy to go into work so that you can do your best and that you can understand other people's best and what they're bringing to the workplace in a non-judgmental way. Of course, people use community as a branch of marketing nowadays. So it's a very efficient way, and people would say that Reddit is the perfect example of a community.
Oh, okay. Tell me a little bit more about why people use Reddit as the perfect example.
You could put a question into Reddit or Google right now. Reddit will come up, and the community will then answer the questions for each other. It's not some person that is running to each of the threads on Reddit and answering the questions. The community knows that they have the ability and the autonomy to run themselves. So I feel like at BAM, there's an autonomy that we can run ourselves as individuals. We trust everybody on the team to manage what they're doing, to manage their time, manage their emotions, manage the workplace, and we're here to help. And I think that's the definition of community that I see floating around. But I'm grounded in community building and organizing and seeing how, whether it's a Creative Mornings or whether it's a nonprofit that I'm working with, seeing how to make those communities safe, whether that's with language or that's with asking people questions, making people feel comfortable so that they can show up as their best selves. That's the type of community that I walk into a space and I expect to see, and I hope that I'm a walking example of a community that is that's welcoming. And then the third branch I would say is just like the background of community, whether that's running a Google Workspace and making sure all the tools are actually running on the website or the workplace. And if anybody needs a way to fix that, I can be there to help them fix the actual foundation of the community.
Yeah, the resources are really important. And I just had a 60-day check-in with a team member where that's one of the questions that I ask. I'm asking all these questions about how are they feeling? How's it going? And then I do ask, do you have the tools? Do you have the resources to do your job, to be a part of this community, right? So, and I want to touch on for a second, you said safety, comfortable, you said belonging, welcomed. These are words that I heard you talking about with community. And at the beginning, when you started to talk, you mentioned that it's a place. I think that's what you said. I think you said community is a place.
Yes, community is a practice. It's not a place.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. And that stood out to me because at BAM specifically, when our place went away, right? During COVID, we decided to become remote. So we no longer had this physical space, this physical place where our community gathered. We were now all over the place. And we really had to lean on our practices. What was it that made us a community? What are the things that we do? And I think that's like at the heart of community, even though so often I think it does get mistaken with being a place.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that, with the difference of place versus practice?
I think it's easy to make community a destination where you go to,
Yeah.
and then it's like you stop, you're there. Instead of a practice is something that you continuously evolve into, and you have to have discipline towards practicing whatever that is. So it's coming to BAM. I think we were talking about this earlier from the 4 agreements. I'm always echoing that 4 agreement that you always try your best. You're always doing your best. Even on your worst days, as long as you can look back and say, you know what, I tried my best on that worst day. That's all that I could give.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I know we have the colors at BAM. Like if you're green, you let people know, and that means that you're good to go. If you're yellow, your feelings are in the middle. And if you're red, you're having one of those days.
Yeah, having that kind of shared language that we can practice essentially every day. Drop in your color. You don't have to say more than that. You don't have to tell us more than that. But having that quick gauge of just where someone's at in that moment, in that day, and that also helps us understand their best on a yellow day isn't going to be the same as their best on a green day, and that creates a sense of safety, right? And that creates a sense of being able to trust that we're going to be honest with each other and truthful with each other and give each other grace, have some generosity with one another. Which I believe creates trust, and we can get to that in a second, because some of these words I'm using are part of that framework, part of that shared language that we've been using as we've been talking about self-trust, organizational trust, trust in leadership, things like that.
Yeah, I'm so interested in the trust and how we started to build that language, especially when we didn't have a location. We doubled, tripled down on what are these philosophies going to be to fit this. At that time, we called it the new normal. Now the new normal. But it's always evolving, and that shared language is so important, because once we have words that align with each other and definitions for those words, we know exactly how we're moving. Because sometimes people can have a word, but they have 2 different definitions of word. So the shared language is also a shared definition. And so
absolutely,
how did we get to the word trust being BAM's word of the year?
So we've gone through a ton of change in the last few years, some very significant change. And for a minute there, we didn't know what the outcome would be, whether BAM would still be BAM. And happily and proudly, we can both sit here today as longstanding team members of BAM. Our evolution has been great. We have seen some really difficult times and some really, really abundant, amazing times. But coming through a dark time, or just a really challenging time, as the executive team, we were talking about what do we need right now? What should our focus be? And it was just so clearly trust. And I think that's really actually kind of a global focus right now, with all of the changes we're seeing in technology and AI. Who can you trust? What is real? Like it's a much broader conversation happening, but we are putting a kind of a tight lens on it at BAM, specifically recognizing, from my perspective as a person who has put a lot of time and energy into building self-trust, I believe that's where larger trust comes from, is if you can start to build that trust within yourself, it becomes easier then to trust others, or to trust how you are going to show up with others. I wanted to share, let's see here before I restart. Why am I freezing? Hold on. Okay. Am I okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
So I wanted to share the definition of trust by Rachel Botsman. She is an author, designer, lecturer, who focuses on trust and societal change. And she defines trust as confidence in the unknown, which I think there's a conversation that you and I can have just about that in itself. But trust is confidence in the unknown. What she does talk about is that context matters. And when you're talking about people, structures, organizations, the context matters. So I can trust Amazon to deliver my goods overnight, right? But can I trust Amazon to treat its employees well? Right? The
Or
context matters there. Yeah. So trust is not this overarching thing that we just give to everyone and everything, or maybe you do, but that comes with its own set of consequences or challenges, I would say. So anyway, getting back to just this, the word trust, the theme of trust, how we're looking at it, BAM, from self-trust to organizational trust, leadership trust, this definition of trust is confidence in the unknown. I'm curious what that like sparks in you. What does that feel like to imagine that that's what trust is, confidence in the unknown?
Oh, wow. 'Cause it makes me think of hope, actually, because it makes me think in the sense that uh, I've always seen hope, and I've seen other people define it as seeing yourself succeeding in the future. But
Yeah.
now it's like turning that around, and we're seeing other people succeeding in the future, and this idea that they're trying to make the best choices for themselves, that they're doing their best. And I'm trusting you, I'm trusting that community, I'm trusting my employers, I'm trusting the C-suite to be doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
And when you have that record of being able to work with people, check in with people, tap in with them over a set of time,
Yeah.
it's nice because that trust builds
It
up.
feels like a bank account, right? And so that's kind of the gift of time in relationships or time at a workplace where trust is being built and strengthened. So when it does take a hit, you got these reserves, right? You've got reserves and you're like, okay, I trust this person to do X, right? Like this kind of took a hit on my trust, it kind of taken a step back and going, but I trust a certain behavior. I trust that they are a person of integrity. So I trust that repair will happen. And that's where bringing in the braving framework, which was established by Brené Brown, an author and researcher on shame specifically.
Amazing woman.
Yeah, she is. She is. She is. I'm a fan. Nobody is my guru, but I do really respect Brené Brown and the work she's done, especially just specifically around a topic so many of us are so averse to talking about and looking at, which is shame. So the braving framework, what it does is it introduces behaviors through this word braving. It's an acronym, and it gives us behaviors, which gives us a shared language, which gives us context for trust. And so the behaviors are boundaries, reliability, accountability, vault, integrity, non-judgment, and generosity. So those give us a framework. They give us behaviors that we can look to in ourselves. Am I showing integrity? Am I a vault? If someone shares something with me, can they trust it's going to stay with me? Right. And that gives us what you were talking about, that very clear definition. So by defining these behaviors, we know what to expect in trust, which I think is actually kind of counterintuitive to what Rachel Botsman says about trust is confidence in the unknown,
Yeah.
right? This is giving us known language, shared language, known behaviors that we can trust. And maybe what that I'm wondering how we can tie that together. So what does that, how do we take the gift of having a shared language, of having defined behaviors that help us build trust, and how do we draw that back to Rachel Botsman's definition of trust as confidence in the unknown?
That makes me think that even when we have these definitions at BAM or outside of our lives at work, sometimes the definitions need to change or the language needs to change. And
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
the known often becomes the unknown,
Yeah.
and it's a moving part. That's why I always love the diplomacy at BAM, because that's not the right word I want to use, but there's a democracy at BAM.
Democracy. Yeah.
We're asking people that work here, what do they think of XYZ? What do they think of this new policy? Does it need to be changed? And there's a constant asking, and there's almost a trust in the C-suite and in our managers that they're going to ask us what we actually think, and they're going to be open to receiving that feedback.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it with diplomacy, of course, but
Yeah.
they're open And to be able to even say that you're open for feedback is it proves that psychological safety is there and that it is abundant, and it's okay to say what you really want to say and not hold that frog in your throat, because people get stuck on that idea and they can't really think outside of it. And people become inefficient when you do that to them, when you put
Yeah,
them in.
there's fear, or there's just a total lack of trust, or there's a belief that my voice doesn't matter. What I have to say doesn't matter. They're not taking me into consideration. That creates fear, a lack of psychological safety, a total breakdown in trust. And really, ultimately, that's gonna impact any business, because someone, to your point, they are going to be ineffective. Their work product's going to suffer. Their creativity is going to suffer. Their ability to work and trust people, everything takes a hit. So really, I mean, I don't have the data. I'm sure there's plenty of data. I've looked at it, but when you prioritize trust at work in the ways that we have prioritized diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, the big bad words that no one says anymore. When you prioritize these things, your humans, the inclusive aspect of work, the heart of work, you see greater productivity, creativity, innovation. You see the money go up. So businesses win when they prioritize their people in this way. But it's still reason just not as done.
Yeah, and people stay longer because not only can they apply these things to their lives at work, they can apply these things to their lives outside of work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I hear that a lot from people at BAM, where they're like, I took this thing that you all taught us and I shared it with friends, or I shared it with my family. Someone I was talking to today said the Design the Alliance. She was like, that is the coolest thing, the DTA as we call it, which is essentially a conversation that we would have, that is like a social contract, a relationship contract. It's dynamic, it can change, we can revisit it at any time, where we talk about how do we make this relationship a reciprocal? It's mutually beneficial? How do we make sure that we both show up in ways that are not only authentic, but supportive of this relationship and our goals in this relationship? So hearing that, like that, the Design the Alliance is something that this person's taking out into their life. I'm like, that is just the coolest thing to me. It's so cool.
Oh, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Especially as I'm working remotely. So I'm at home. So I can immediately apply these things at the home that I'm in.
Yeah, because work is home.
Yeah, work is home. Work
Yeah.
is home. So
Yeah.
they're very much connected. And
Yeah.
I'm lucky to be, I'm lucky to have a lot of communities that I'm attached to, but I know that there's a big loneliness epidemic that's going out there. People feel like they can't connect with people. People are working too remotely and they don't have time to go out to these places and build community.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, if you're lucky, and I'm lucky to be here at BAM, the job that you're at is evolving into the community.
It is.
Learn these ways to talk to people, to communicate, and to be the best version of yourself as well. And so I see that evolution, especially in tech, because it moves so fast.
Yeah.
Where people are saying that community needs to be there in some sort of way where I can apply what I learn at work to my direct life, whether that's family or entrepreneurship or just building community outside of the workplace. Now the workplace is a place where you can educate yourself on a communal way as well.
Yeah. I would credit, that the pandemic, our time during COVID, I would credit it for this new phase of work where our humanity has been totally exposed. Like the COVID hit, many people were at home. Many people have gone back to work now, but many of us were at home, and you couldn't hide your humanity. You couldn't hide your messy kitchen, your kids running around, your cats, your dogs coming on camera.
Yeah.
The chaos of our whole lives was just there, and no one could hide it anymore. And it forced us to acknowledge our humanity at work. And now I really think that as AI and technology continue to do what they do at the pace that they're going to, what is going to keep us relevant as humans is our heart and our humanity. And as you and I were talking about earlier, our imperfections. I think that is the thing people are going to start to crave more than anything, is like, show me what's real. I need to know what's real. And organizations that aren't willing to prioritize the humanity of their people will lose them. And those organizations will start to feel the effects of that. So I'm proud to be a place that has, we pivoted and we stayed with it. And we are now consistently reevaluating, looking at ourselves. What do we need to be talking about? And that's where trust came from. It was like, what took a hit for us? What do we need to be actually focusing on because we took a hit in this area? And how do we rebuild trust? And I'm just really proud of us. I'm proud, and I'm proud to be a part of this podcast that's like work made human. It's the whole point, because it's something that we care deeply about, is that felt sense at BAM where, while we don't expect BAM to be your whole world and your whole everything, we do want it to feel like a community where you feel, to use your word, safe, welcome. There's a sense of belonging, and it feels like a place you want to be, right? Even though it's not a place. It's not a place. Yeah. But we practice these things. We practice them over and over.
Yeah. And helping people tell their stories as well. I love how DEI has evolved at BAM, and now everybody is telling their personal story once a month.
Yeah.
And it's stories that you would just never know about people.
I know, it's so cool. I think it is the coolest thing. Like, what a cool evolution. I tell people it feels like show and tell. It feels like when we were in elementary school and someone would come and be like, here's my life outside of here. And it is so cool to get this insight into our people, who we've known these people for years, and I'm learning stuff I had no idea about. It's really connecting. It makes me like, I have a deeper appreciation. I have a deeper respect. And some of it's really fun and light, right? Some of it's just very light and fun. And some of it's a little more like,
making computers.
Yeah, making computers, family-run bakeries. Like, I want some cookies. Yeah.
And so it can be on all of those levels. And then when you think about community, it's all of those people in one room. Someone that just built a computer, someone that just had a life change, someone that just had a breakup, someone that just went through XYZ, and we're all trying to be heard and seen in some type of capacity, whether that's I'm a red or I'm a green, take me as I am, or we're just trying to be, understood in some sort of way. And so those stories make people feel understood and seen by the entire team all at once.
What makes this will kind of be maybe our final, because we've done it. We've got plenty here. So I'm gonna, like, what makes you feel seen and heard at BAM? How do you feel seen here?
I feel seen by you. I feel seen by the 60-second check-ins. I feel seen by not only telling my story, but listening to other people's stories, no matter what they are, when we come to those BAM meetings and it's that time for DEI. And it's just time to listen to that one person as they have the spotlight. I'll get my turn when I need it, but I feel very seen by those things. What about you?
I love that. For you, and of course, I mean, it's so classic, Ramel. You feel seen by listening to others. That is just classic you, because you are the epitome of inclusivity. And so I believe that, right? I think if someone else were to say that, but you embody inclusion. And so it makes sense for me for you to say you feel seen when you can hear and listen to others, because you trust that you're in a space where if we can hear and listen to others, then you're going to be heard and listened to.
Yeah. And especially though, let me even put more reference on it.
Yeah.
When people would volunteer more.
Yeah.
And only certain people would be speaking.
Yeah.
And that we collectively at BAM said, you know what? It's only a couple of voices. If we could get more voices.
Yeah.
It's like, I love that.
Yeah.
Often the quietest person has one of the best solutions. And
I totally agree.
Which.
Yeah. It was a massive pivot for us in a really impactful way. I agree. And for me, I feel seen because I feel trusted to do such meaningful human work at a place where there's so much pressure and performance and achieving and technology and fast change. So to me, that I'm trusted to have meaningful conversations and sit down and slow down with people and ask how they're doing and what do they need. Like that blows me away that's my job. And I'm just, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, grateful for you. Thank you so
Grateful
much.
For you. Thank you, Ramel, for joining me on Work Made Human today, filling in for Nicole Mendez, who is on paid sabbatical.
Enjoy the sabbatical.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. That's the benefit of being here for 5+ years, the paid sabbatical.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. 6 weeks. We both had it. It's pretty great. Yeah.
And I might end this podcast with the Braving song.
But boundaries, I respect yours, you respect mine. A reliability, I do what I say every time.